understand who killed the dog was.
Well, I just think...
Yeah, what's up? All right, Mike.
What's happening, man? What's happening?
Everything sound cool?
Everything sounds great.
Yes, I'm on the road right now. I'm in New Jersey. And I'll tell you what, I saw a thing on TikTok today, and it pretty much described... Remember the last time I went to New Jersey? Do you remember what happened? For anyone that's just watching this first time, what was that, like 3 episodes ago or something like that? 2 episodes?
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, the Hertz incident. Well, another incident.
Oh, no.
Right out of the gate. Right out of the gate. I'm really... I'm starting to worry about myself. So show this thing that I just showed you. It's just a still frame. I saw this and I belly laughed. Parents of today, please don't talk back to me. It's not nice. The kids. Okay. Parents born from my era, 1980s and earlier, say something else so I could snatch your motherfucking lips off your face. Well, let me tell you something. It struck again. So here's what happened. I'm in Morristown, New Jersey. All right. Now, one of our old neighbors, they want to take me out for my 55th birthday, which I don't think is a big deal. I mean, 60, yeah, you turned 50. I think 50, I can honestly say, was the first age that I ever realized, wow, I'm gonna be dead. I'm dead. This is it. Like, yeah, I'm not getting younger. I'm 10 years to 60. I'm 20 years to 70. It's game time. It's going down. And that's it. It's making 70 or 80. You got to hope you don't have a stroke. You hope you don't got to break a hip, rip your calf like I did on a stage, not even doing anything. So, get the gout 3-4 times a year. A lot can go on. So 55 is not a big ordeal to me, to be honest with you. So with that said, I have 2 of my daughters, my 2 youngest daughters, and I also have... How ugly is that picture in the background? Like, what is my grandma... Like, what is my in-laws... We got these red... This is like some 1970s... I don't even know how to describe it. But then again, they are... That helps a little bit. So we go to Morristown, New Jersey. All right. It's a big square, a lot of young people. My neighbor wanted to go to this one particular place. So it's my wife, my 2 young daughters, her daughter, and we couldn't get in this one place. It was packed, it was jamming. So we walked to another place, incredible Mexican restaurant. N-O-M. It's I don't know if it's Nome or Nom, but if you're ever in Morristown, New Jersey, incredible place, I have to say. They were short-staffed, running around like lunatics, but they pulled it off. Our waiter pulled it off. He was making drinks. I don't get... What is the shortage with workers? Do people just not want to work? This guy was behind the counter. He's food running. And it's not like the place was that packed. This guy's serving food, taking things. I don't get what's going on with the whole shortage. I don't get it. So this poor bastard's run like an idiot. I have one cocktail, ordered one cocktail. As soon as we got there at like, I don't know, 6 o'clock. My only one for the whole night. It was one of those, yeah, you put this in it and that in it. It tastes like you're drinking fruit. You don't taste any alcohol. 0 buzz. Takes half hour to get appetizers. I knew ordering another round of drinks was not going to happen. Food comes out. It's incredible. Life is good. Life is good. Pay the bill. Give the guy a nice big tip because I know he's busting his ass. Always give like 25, 30%. At least I try to. So if you're a waiter or waitress and you didn't get 25 or over 20% to me, that's my nice way of saying you fell short tonight for me. You fell short. So now we're leaving. And here's where the evening takes a turn. And we're walking back to the parking lot where my car is parked. And I see a bunch of young kids, or actually, I don't even know what they are. I just see a group of people filming in the street. They were, they didn't have credentials. It wasn't professional, in my opinion. And we're walking, and my kids, of course, took off. My two youngest one and my neighbor's daughter, they're about, we'll meet you by the car. God forbid we walk with parents and adults. God. So they take off. Here come the three adults. I see these kids filming. When I say kids, I'm thinking 25 and under. To me, that's a kid. It's a kid. And whatever they're into, I don't want anything. I don't want nothing to do with it. So I'm not even looking at them. But now, my wife and the other one, my angle is, they're like, what's going on here? I went, please just keep walking. Can we not get involved with the kids, with their cameras, trying to get... and the other thing was it doesn't matter. Not from the area, in my opinion. Who knows? Whatever. Kid, whatever. Doesn't even matter. I didn't sense anything spectacular was coming out of this. So as we're walking up, now my wife goes, oh, what's going on over here? What's going on? I said, please, can we just keep walking? And I just kept walking. And as I keep walking, I stop and I realize my wife and my neighbor are not with me. So I turn around and they're talking by the camera people. And I hear my wife going, no, like, what kind of questions are these? And you could see my face a little red right now. I'm literally reliving the event. And my ears are getting hot and my face is getting hot. It is the light, but I'm also getting hot. And so I go walking up to him and I go, what do you, and that's when I notice they're filming my wife. So I come behind the guy. So picture a square and you see her just going, no, I just want to know what kind of questions coming in. So I go from 0 to 100 because, in my opinion, this is not a discussion to be had with this particular group. That is the quick decision I made. This is not going to turn into, hey, what's going on here? Blah, blah. The camera's already going. Oh, they all got their cameras going. They didn't ask my wife, so the camera's on my wife. She doesn't even know it. So I snagged the phone out of his hands, and I probably have this look right here. And I go, let's go. And that's when I realize it's my kids that are standing there that they're asking these questions to. And I had no clue they were even involved. And the neighbors going, no, let's go, girls. And that's when I turned and went, what are you doing? And then one of the kids, I won't even say if it's mine. I'll just say one of the kids. It was one of my kids. Gets annoyed and pissed at me. Pissed. Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I said, let's go now. And he said, hey, man, give my phone back. I gave the phone back, and they're like, yeah, they can. I'm gonna say they felt my intensity. I was intense. I didn't want anything to do with this situation. No one got threatened. No, I just did not. Let's keep moving the parade. We're not talking to kids with cameras and everyone. And so I find now they turn around like, hey man, everything's cool. I said, I'm the dad. Let's go. I said, I'm the dad. Not cool. Let's go. My voice raises. It's drawing a little more attention. We start walking back the car. My daughter's like, Dad, what's the matter with you? And I went, what are you doing? When I say let's go, you took his cat. I said he was filming Mom. And she goes, no, he wasn't. And dude, if I gotta take a deep breath, just thinking about it. 2 deep breaths. I went, yes, he was. What the fuck? Now I'm, no. I didn't flip. I went, yes, he was. And she goes, why don't you have another drink, Dad? Dude, if this was another guy, this is why I love what I had to show. This was another guy, I wouldn't have hesitated, and the fist would have been already through. Like this whole area, just bang! You still be hearing that. Bang! There'll be no thinking. So I launched out like, oh, thank you. What do you want to? And then she was starting like, they're YouTubers. Oh, please. Please. What do you think they're going to ask you? So this is getting asked. You don't want to talk to me. And she's leaving, going that way, and I'm going this way. And my head's on fire. My face is redder than this, and and then my wife's like, Jan. I'm like, no. So now I'm trying to calm down. And then I was like, okay, I walked about a block and I went up to my daughter. I'm like, hey, listen, she went, no, you don't get to apologize to me after screaming at me in the street. And I was like, well, that's because I'm sick of you not trusting me. Oh, dude, it was bad. It was not a good scene. It was not a good scene, me and the Breuer family. And I want people to know this because A, I'm human and real. B, you just think, oh, well, you live this stuff. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's how quick you're involved. And they don't know who I am. It had nothing to do with that whatsoever either. So long story short, we had another talk later that, because I don't like dwelling. I do look back. I'm not sorry that I snatched the phone. I'm not sorry that I was like, let's go. So then, the end of the night was like, I said, come on, let's talk about this. And we went outside. And again, she was like, oh, I was apologizing because you're sitting there, you take them like, what's the matter with you? I'm like, what do you think that? Again, and it goes again. So then it lasted, I couldn't sleep. And then finally in the morning, like, hey man, I could have acted differently. Was my gut feelings, I still believe that my gut feelings, that I acted to my gut feelings. I don't like that they were filming Mom without permission and she'd even know it. That never leads to anything positive. And as far as he's screaming at you, I apologize. And if you feel embarrassed because I lost my snot in front of them, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I just love you to death. And we had the coolest birthday after that and all that shit. So I just had to give that. I had some other parts that I wanted to start off with, where I was going to talk more about what is a woman, which is tremendous, but I don't want to eat up too much time because I got a cool guest today. And then maybe we'll get to it a little later today. But I just want to let you know, yeah, I lost my cool again. That's twice now. I don't know how many episodes we've done, Mike, but that's twice I've lost my snot in the street that could have turned real bad real quick. But I don't know if it's my age. I don't know if I have a midlife crisis. I'm thinking going back to Africa next year. I'm thinking about hanging out in Belize for 2 months. I don't know what's going on with the Breuer, man. I really don't.
You know how I can tell when you're getting intense? You do this thing with your sleeves and you throw them up like.
I do this.
Yeah,
do that.
Yep.
That's the street Long Island kid. Like when we gotta like whoa. Now what are you talking about now? What's going on? What's going on? That's us. That's Long Island Jimmy. We're gonna name him. He's called Long Island Jimmy. Long Island Jimmy came out twice in the last 2 months. And when Long Island Jimmy comes out, there's Fat Jimmy and there's Long Island Jimmy. Long Island Jimmy does this right before things are about to go down. Some people spit. Some people do this. Some people go, yeah. They take their shirt off. Long Island Jimmy does this. Wait. What are you trying to tell me now? Hold on. I do this. You're right. I didn't even know I did that, Mike.
I see a new segment in the future, Long Island Jimmy.
Long Island Jimmy. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, good God. So I want to bring on a comedian, podcaster. I'm sure a lot of you know this guy. If you don't follow him, perhaps you should follow him. I don't believe we ever met, but I would watch him. You know, I don't watch comedians. I really don't. I don't enjoy. You know, someone will say, "Hey man, you see this?" And I'll watch small clips here once in a while, but I don't look out at them. But I remember seeing this guy a while ago, and I was like, "Oh, this guy, I like this guy." And I would see him at Gotham. On Gotham clips, and I'm like, oh, I think this guy's on the rise right here. This guy's going to be interesting in another year or two. And that's just me up in the woods, coming through the woods. Like, what's going on? Oh, who's that guy? But I think he's really funny, really smart, and he's been through a lot in life. And that's what I love about people in general. Besides just being a comedian, besides just doing what you do in life, when you have that powerful, deep embedded background and you crush and you come through, I have nothing but respect for you. And he's one of those guys. Please welcome Mr. Dave Landau. Did I say that right, Dave?
You did.
Thank God. That really would have, you know how bad I would have came out of the gate. Just here's Dave Landau. It's just, or it's something bad.
You're good, man. We did Motor City together once in Detroit. Long time ago.
Are we talking 5 years?
It's probably been about 5 years, easy.
That might have been the first time I played.
Yeah, it may have been. Yeah, it was a while ago though. It was a long time ago.
Did you hang out afterward? Did we hang out?
Not really, because I think I watched your set and then I got out of there. Casinos are bad for me, like everything else. So I kind of just took off. Yeah.
Okay. Now, quick question, Mike. On my end, he cut out for a second. On your end, it's good?
Yeah, he's good, man.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Very cool. So what are you doing these days? You're touring, but you got this whole other tour. Like well, I'll let you explain it.
Well, right now I'm on Louder with Crowder with Steven Crowder, and we do Monday through Thursday every morning from I guess 10:15ish is what I say until about whenever we stop, and then we're doing a thing called Rebel with a Cause tour where we're just going from different theaters around the country and doing stand up. I'm kind of doing my thing, he's doing his thing, but he's a bit different. He hasn't been in it for a long time. So he's getting back out there and kind of doing reps where I haven't stopped on the road for the last 19 years. So it's just cool to be out there and actually have like a theater of people who actually know who you are, since I've been just doing, you know, like comedy zones to 9 people for such a good chunk of my career where I just wanted to hang myself. So it's nice to actually go out and see fans and like finally do something that I think is important, and to find a fan base that I didn't even know that I had. You know, it's a very cool thing. And after doing the Anthony Cumia show for a few years and getting kind of those fans, and then coming over here and getting these new fans. It's a really cool thing, and that's really what we're up to right now, is just doing this tour, doing a show, and hopefully other big things. I'm trying to work on a sketch show and some other stuff, and hopefully that'll drop later on this year.
You got way too many goals, bro. Way too many goals for me. I got exhausted after touring. I'm already exhausted. You sketch. I this year said, you know what? I'm gonna start. I've been dying to write a script forever, and I just started writing this thing. And I can't make things up. I can only write what I know, dude. It's taken me. It's like 2-3 years now to write 30 pages, and then I'll go back and like, this is it. And then you're out there just crushing everything. I should have wrote something today. I'm lazy though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm lazy. I'll be the first to admit to it.
That's all comics, I think, because I'll do something, and then towards the end, I'm like, this is fine. This is enough. And then I'll just turn it in. Like, this is good.
That's what I don't know if that came from our high school years, because that was me with every project. I'd be like, you know what, I gave 3/4 effort. That's all you need.
The only thing I did extra in high school was the fact that I went there for 5 years, because I was just
exactly.
Yeah, it was fun. But yeah, I did a movie 10 years ago, but I had no clue how to actually make one. So a lot of it shot in a car. I had to, like, guerrilla style in grocery stores. I made it way too complex to actually shoot. Like, yeah. I'm proud of it, but it's a lot of mistakes in it, just because it was a learning curve.
So let me ask you this. I got a couple of questions for you, but as you're, I would say, finding yourself, you've been at it, I think you just said like 18 years and 19 years, whatever you've been at it. It's a long time.
Yeah.
Are you finding more of yourself with the Louder with Crowder, your recent stand-up, or just finding out not afraid of the person you are anymore?
It's finding, that's an interesting question. I'm not really afraid of the person that I am anymore, finding out who I really am. And it's interesting because I'm on a political show. It's a very political show that's obviously right-leaning, even though I would consider myself sort of moderate. I really would have considered myself liberal, but I've just been shoved into the right by whatever the hell the left is now. But I'm finding more of myself on stage, and I really do believe that comics should be allowed to make jokes and talk about things and acknowledge what's going on and be able to punch up to what actually is in power. And that puts me on Louder with Crowder. And that to me it's kind of crazy. It's like, it's odd to look at like somebody like you or Chappelle or all these people that I looked up to and see what they are now, and see how people don't like the comedy that everybody loved growing up all of a sudden is problematic, and it doesn't make any sense for me. The more I find my own voice, I'd say the less offensive it is, but the more offensive it seems to be to the supposed mainstream public, even though I think that's fake.
No,
that makes
totally
sense.
Fake.
Yeah,
of course, it's full blown fake. It's full blown propaganda. It's whatever runs the corporate and the media and all that. It is whatever they show. You got to remember, it's quite I don't even know where it comes from. I don't know what that agenda is.
Right.
The demon. I don't know what it is, but it's amazing. One thing that I remember was a struggle, like you're talking with being on Louder with Crowder, which is clearly for the right.
Yes.
But you're not full blown. I don't like being categorized whatsoever. I think that's super dangerous. I think that is the beginning of and why they got everyone fighting. You're vaccinated or not vaccinating. You're gay or you're whatever you define yourself as. You're left, you're right, you're conservative. It's all the big circles. You're Trump lover, you're a Trump hater. It's almost comical once you catch on to that. But one of my biggest struggles in my whole life, Dave, and I don't know if you're going through that right now, is A, not trying to be lumped into a group, and B, when Half Baked came out and all of that,
Oh yeah, I remember very well.
I found myself trying to appeal and trying to appease a crowd that was buying 1,500 tickets, 1,000 tickets, 2,500 tickets at the time, playing rock clubs, throwing pot on the stage, you're our hero and all that jazz. And, next thing you know, I got 2 kids while I'm touring. I'm like, I'm not the guy, but I'm going to keep trying. And then there was a time where I was just like, hey man, thanks for the ride. Still love that character, but I'm moving this direction if you want. I don't know where it's going, but I'm going truer to who I really am. And I tell you, when I got rid of that fear, I was scared to death. But when I got rid of that fear, I just came to terms with it doesn't matter. You got to think of like friends. If they're not going to support you, who you are, then you don't want them around anyway. You don't need them around. And I don't know if you have any of that struggle going on right now when you're live.
Absolutely. In a lot of ways, not so much when I'm live. I feel like I get to be a lot of myself. I do toss in some red meat, but it's stuff that I actually do believe. It's
Sure.
it's like I'll just make jokes about Biden and stuff that the fact that there's just stuff that is very obvious. The fact that he's always got bruises, like he's dating Chris Brown. It's like they're always fresh, or just that he's, just the fact that he could be taken out by soup. Like, it's just dangerous. It's just there's stuff about about the last 2.5 years that do genuinely bother me. So it's why I'm actually able to talk on the show, because I have a distrust towards the government.
You don't say.
Yes, yeah, and it's basically because of a story that goes back with my dad, who was in Vietnam. He got Agent Orange. They didn't do anything to take care of him. So I don't trust that government. So, and right now I feel like the left and a lot of my friends who went against me for even going on to this show are the ones who don't understand that it's like, these people are the ones that destroyed my family, and I have every single right to go against them. And I feel like this is a show that goes against that, and I'm allowed to say my opinion. And it's odd because it's like, I don't feel like SNL, for example, which you were on, was always my goal. And to me, I put that show on now and I don't even recognize it. I don't know what it is. And it's not to trash anybody but it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even look like the same show to me. Like, I grew up watching you. I grew up watching, I'm wearing a Farley shirt from,
oh, wow.
Like I was a diehard fan. And that was always like my goal, the things that I was aiming for. And it's all kind of slipped away to, well, where else do you go? I want to write sketches. I want to make fun of what's going on in power. I want to make fun of, who's in power. Where else do you go to do that? And you really can't. There's no mainstream outlet that actually allows you to do that. And anytime I've tried, I've been removed, or I've been if I got it on a late night show, all of a sudden I'd have a date, but then it would never be actually given to me, or it was, I always just got kind of screwed with. So I'm doing what I felt like I ended up finally getting a chance to do.
Again, it's holding to who you feel comfortable, who yourself is. I remember I came out and said, and I meant it, I'm not doing any shows that require the vaccine card.
Yes.
And I don't watch TV, thank God. And I wasn't going to read the comments, although I knew. Now this went on. So about 3 days later, and I had no intention, but just to hey man, I'm sorry, I got to cancel these 2 gigs because they're forcing this, and some of the fans are losing their minds. I'm not doing this. I'm just not doing. This is crazy. We're in the Nazi world. My opinion. Well, the amount of people, and from what I understand, the media came after me like a bunch of savages. And then Tucker came and reached out. Tucker's people said, hey, we'd love to have you. And I went, no way, man. No way am I doing news with this stuff. I know how, and they're like, And everyone was reaching out at all different angles, reaching out, but they also know their game.
Yeah.
Their game is they pull you on their alleyway, and then, they let you talk for a second, but and then they put the tape on your mouth, make you look stupid, and they say all these things and blah, blah, blah. And, it's not a fight.
Yeah. Right.
Tucker was the only one just let me speak. He didn't even interrupt. He just let me speak and say what I had to say. And I couldn't believe the amount of people that were so political, like, oh, dare, like I pulled a child out of a house and just, how dare you go on that? It was, and it actually made me feel better. It made me feel better to see these people losing their minds, because it made me realize more, you're the ones I don't want to be with anymore. If you can't think, so if I go on Howard Stern and say the same exact thing, am I a liberal now? But if I come over here and say the same exact thing, if I go to a black crowd and say the same joke, and the white crowd and this crowd and blah, blah, blah. Well, if you were the black crowd, so you ain't with us. Like the stupidity of not listening to the message. To sell humanity short. You're selling yourself short when you're not listening to the message and you're just politicizing everything. It's pretty nutso. But I'm glad you stick to it. And I gotta say, it wasn't hurtful. It was more eye-opening. I just couldn't, because I just consider it's common sense.
Yes.
It's common sense. You're the one that's sitting there watching the TV going, unvaccinated should not go in a hospital. Like, just morons. It's disturbing.
Well, I never felt that it was like a microchip there to control you. I grew up, my mom was a nurse, and I'm vaccinated with absolutely everything. The only reason I didn't get that is because it was something that came in during the Trump administration, and everybody was against it. Then it just switched to Biden, and now it became mandatory. People were losing their jobs over it. So when it came to coming to my show, it didn't make any sense. So I said the same thing. I'm not going to check for that at my show, because your medical history is none of my business. It's not mine to know, and that shouldn't be anything that I should have to know. It didn't make any sense. We were locked up. We were trying to avoid something that I didn't know. I traveled the entire 2 years going back and forth from New York to Detroit to do Anthony's show. And the only thing that I got out of it was first class, because there was nobody else on the planes. And it wasn't bad for me, and my son had it. He didn't even feel it, and I'm not saying it wasn't bad for some people, but everything around the vaccine, from my own personal opinion, was, look, I've done so many drugs, massive amounts of cocaine. I've put pills in my mouth that I just found on the floor. Like, if I'm looking at something, if I'm looking at something and going, I don't know if I want to put that in my body, that's not a good sign. Like, other people should probably feel that way long before me. Like, it was so strange just how rah people were about something that seemed very untested. And now I don't see how we were wrong.
No,
that's the crazy part.
I know. And that is the crazy part. But it is what it is. But I find it interesting. I want to go back to something you just mentioned. You said which I have very similar feelings, the way veterans are treated. And when I say veterans, I mean veterans that seen battle. Mm-hmm. And so you got to see your dad, and you have some feelings towards whatever government or whatever it is, because you felt your dad comes back from Vietnam, which in my opinion was a well-orchestrated genocide to our own people. That's when people go, you really think the government would do that? I said, did you see Vietnam? Did you see You didn't have a choice. Here's what your choice was. If you don't join the war, you go to prison. Yep. The only way to stay out of it is you got to go to college. So we could teach you what we need to teach you, that you think you're so important that, quite frankly, you're just good at memorizing what they're showing you, and you're paying good bill for it. And if you couldn't afford going to college, you were forced to go fight whether you wanted to or not, whether you had a belief or not. You were forced. And you get guys like your dad coming home. And then not only did they do that to our own civilians, to our own people, your father,
Yep.
my cousin who never came back, my uncle that died of a broken heart, and the many, many, many other that are still suffering, that are still disturbed by the way, not only did they do that to our own people, our government did that to our own people, then they dripped all the drugs out and all this fake music. Hey, Grateful Dead. I'm not saying the Grateful Dead's bad, but I just think it's a little weird how all of a sudden acid came out of nowhere in the 60s during the Vietnam War.
Yeah, which was also a government designed drug. When you actually look at it was essentially truth serum, or was attempted to be truth serum.
That's right. That's right.
And I did a ton of it.
Dude, I was always scared. I was always scared. You know what I did take?
What's that?
It's too late. Yeah, my kids get okay. The worst thing that I did was mescaline.
Oh, I did that, yeah.
Oh, dude, we were sleeping over for
no sleeping.
AC/DC tickets. And that's what see, you're the wizard guy. You were the guy you were the convincer. You were the convincer. See, it was you, Dave Landau. That was my friend Phil that was going, there's no sleeping. We're not sleeping tonight. We're gonna stay up all night and we're gonna trip our balls off. I'm like, no. That's drugs. And you, Dave, were the guy going, you're not gonna die. You're not gonna die. Oh man, let me tell you something.
Which is great when you feel like you're gonna die.
I never thought I was gonna die, but I will
That's
say
good.
this.
That's good that you had a good experience.
Well, I will say this. I was in a parking lot and I had to pee really bad. So I just remember the Dave Landau character going, hey, let's go. He said, you got to pee in the Aussie pole. It's a tradition. So I'm trying like, okay, we got to go in the Aussie pole. So we're walking in the parking lot for what I thought felt like an hour. Clearly it was like 5 minutes. And we go from one pole. He goes, that's not the Aussie pole. We walk to another pole. And then the trip is like, whoa, he's boxing me in. It's like an imaginary box. And he sees me starting to trip. And he goes, listen, we got to make it back to the sidewalk. But whatever you do, don't step in the darkness. No, what does that mean? And he started pointing to all the grease stains. And he goes, once you're in the darkness, you don't come back. And he just took off. And all I remember, just all these people on the sidewalk laughing. And they were because I was stuck in a parking lot for, I thought, like an hour because I was afraid to step in the darkness. So yeah, I didn't like that. Acid, whole different. I don't know how you did that. No way. Mescaline was enough.
No, it's so odd because it's something I wish I wouldn't have, but I did probably. We've ballparked it around 400 hits. I still have a thing called HPPD, where like I'll still see like I have these like occasional like I don't. If people say it's like a flashback, but it's not. It's just I'll have things will move. I'll have certain feelings like just sort of like not a flashback, but I have like issues with my eyes, and it took depression. And it took a psychiatrist a long time to figure it out, and then he gave me all the symptoms, and I was like, oh. That's what that is. Because I started taking it and doing a lot. I started taking anything I could get my hands on when my dad got sick. And
oh, wow.
I mean, the first time, honestly, I saw my dad, he had a halo drilled into his head. And I came home and I was on 5 hits of acid. And he's like,
wow.
And he's like, where were you? Because I was sneaking in. I'm like, where were you? I'm like, where are you? Just like freaking out. And it eventually I'd taken 13 in one night. My friend took 19, and 7 days later, I think it stopped. And that's when I just realized, like, okay, I'm going way too far with this.
Wow.
And I realized, like, but I was I think I wanted. I was so depressed and down and like confused by the world that I think I was trying to kill myself subconsciously with
Wow.
so much different, so many different
Wow.
things. Like it wasn't so much a fun experience. It was just this constant escape of reality for me.
Wow. So
So
this was like, so your dad's still with us or no?
no, he died when I was a teenager. He had gotten when he was in Vietnam, he got Agent Orange, poisoning from Agent Orange,
Okay.
which was if people don't know, it's kind of a poison they use to kill crops so they could kind of see the Viet Cong, that sort of thing. And it would allow them, and it could also allow them to get through, like, the jungles a lot easier because it would kill all the plant life. Well, it also did horrible damage to the soldiers. It causes
Jesus
even
Christ.
the kids of soldiers, which I'm lucky to not have spina bifida. There's all kinds of issues with it. And really, the VA for years have just hoped that people die of Parkinson's or cancer or brain cancer. Soft cell sarcoma specifically is what my dad had. And they gave him nothing. They said it wasn't their fault.
Now, isn't
Then,
that great? Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that great when you say, I remember my dad, once he started going towards the end, it was like, well, you could check in VA hospital. The closest one to you is about an hour and 20 if he gets in. I mean, they'll treat him there. I'm like, can't we get treated like over here and do it through a VA hospital? I mean, he was shooting guns and stuff. It was pretty intense where he was at for a couple of years. Well, so that's why it would drive me crazy, and still does.
Mm-hmm.
When I'd see, I remember years ago, like McCain and whatever. I didn't know the guy much, but anyone ever comes out like, we got to do more for the veterans. Well, why aren't you doing it? Why do you have to be president before you do it? Why do you have to run for whatever office you are to say you're going to do it? Why aren't you doing it?
There's no actual thing that's changed, though, when it comes if you change anything in politics for the better, you're removed, because then it takes away the game. That's what I fully believe, because
Right.
the whole thing is about division. So if you actually try to get anything done, what's the purpose? I mean, it's the same reason why, how do these people that are on a public, a public pension or a public salary, how are they multi-millionaires? It makes no sense.
But
Sorry,
Sorry.
it's all corrupt. No, go ahead. It's just all corruption.
No, it's like, to me, it is the greatest circus. And I keep begging people, you're watching the January 6th. You're going, it's everybody that's clowning you is multi-million. Where do you think they get that money? Where do you think Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all of them, both sides. Where do you think they get all their money from? Playing your emotions over, and they're stealing your money, dude. Did you see? You might not want to. You might not want to touch it.
No, it's fine. No, you'd be surprised.
No. But I want to go back to. So you grew up watching your dad, which, be quite frankly, you watch your dad get sick, and how old are you when you're 16?
Well, no, when he first got sick, I was 14, and then he died when I was 18. But he was about 13 when he started getting headaches. But I mean, he was like the coach of our baseball team. He started Babe Ruth in the city where we grew up, right outside of Detroit, which brought in like kind of inner city kids and like the local kids, and coached, and like he was everything to like a lot of my friends who didn't even have dads. So I watched him deteriorate, but he had to go around the country to have different neurosurgeries. So like like they lived in Boston for a little bit, and I was being watched by my aunt and like my grandma, and it's like, I'm just stealing pills from my grandma. I'm just, whatever. Like I feel I have my own abandonment issues because of it. And it's because when you're a teenager, you don't know better. You're selfish. And unfortunately, that's part of life, And he eventually, the VA said, after he passed, we do owe you something. Your dad did die because of it. So my mom filed the paperwork, and this was years later, and then they denied it again.
Wow.
After they agreed to it. Then she killed herself, which was
Wow.
because she just couldn't live without my dad anymore. So she ends up doing that, and then I ended up finally reaching out to the VA, and it's like, well, your mom filed the papers wrong. I'm like, she was mentally ill. Like, at this point, I don't care about money. It's like, could you just apologize other than, and the guy who I talked to, who was a former soldier in Vietnam, was, very, very understanding. And it's a different thing because the guy on the phone is not the guy who he has to talk to, who's 10 people above him. But my aunt and I fought it for a very long time, and it just comes down to pushing you through the system until they can give you as little as possible, or hopefully nothing. And
Or
now
hope that you finally go away.
Yeah, and I mean, really, it's like, look at the people coming from Afghanistan. I have he's a second cousin, but a cousin who my cousin Nick, who is in a basement that he can't leave. You can't leave anything sharp down there. He was in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
You can't, if he goes near a gun, it's over.
Yeah.
That's really, I feel like, their goal. That's what they want to have happen. And it
100%.
sucks. Yeah.
100%. And not only, and this is what pisses me off, and again, this is why I get so agitated when I see everyone falling for this clown circus every single day. Keep your eye on the end goal, which is these demons, these soulless savages stealing your money, enslaving all of us. It's exactly what they do, and that's what they're doing. Democrat, Republican. If you can't get out of the game, you're already lost. If you care, and they say, this country ain't free. Really? I'll give you a tiny, tiny little thing. I go to a ball game. I've been to one in years, and every time I go, they'd honor a veteran every fifth inning or whatever inning.
Yeah, the Mets. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
At the Mets.
Yep.
Thank you for knowing that. I think
yeah.
Part of me is like, yeah, I'm a Mets fan, but
I would
and
go
I
to
don't-
City Field when I lived in New York. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Mets would always do it, and it would drive me nuts to watch Pride Month or this day. I'm like, so hold on, let me get this straight. You get to wear crazy clothes and be, hey, I sodomize, however you got there, God bless you, whatever goes on. But hey, we're gonna have rainbows, and then you have these statues. We're gonna put up a statue, or you have your one day where you give it to it's a Veterans Day, and no one. Hey, we're gonna barbecue on Memorial Day weekend. It's such a spit. It's such a make sure you get for your Memorial Day weekend. It's such a snot rocket on every child involved, on every wife involved, on every single part of the family, and it just I do feel more people are waking up and seeing more and more. I was looking at I don't want to get too far off, but I get agitated.
No, but you're right though, because and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, go ahead, Dave.
No, you are right though, because it's more kids right now know. If you ask the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day, they don't even know. They don't realize that memorial means it's death.
Right.
It's honoring. That's the difference,
Right.
and it's veterans is also honoring in a different way, but they don't really understand the concept of what it actually costs for what this country is. And I do believe that America is a great country. I believe we are massively flawed because, unfortunately, the politics of it are rapidly destroying us. And it's because the people who are in power are the ones that want it there. That doesn't make it worse than any other country. It doesn't make it, but it does seem, and it's not a conspiracy when you look at any sort of global
facts.
thing. Yeah.
Right. These are facts.
If you don't believe that there's a global issue, then okay, we shut down pipelines. Gas is now $5 a gallon. Do you really care that there was an earthquake or two in Oklahoma where there was a plate? Do you really want to talk about, are you worried about pollution? Do you have any idea the amount of pollution that comes out of China versus the US? Once you see everything, you go, I care about jobs. I think people should be able to put food on the table. I care about people who want to have families. I care about somebody who's single. I care about human life. There people who are greedy and want money and power and have that narcissism, they don't care. That's a sociopath. anybody who's able to go, I want to be the leader of everything, is a psychopath. There's no other way to put it.
You're absolutely right. There's really no way, and all they want is to say we did this and we did that and we did that, and what they're really doing is just enslaving more and more and more
Every day.
more. And they get all the dummies to fight each other. More guns. Take your guns away. It's pure stupidity. Anyway.
Endless dopamine release. And you look at like the Pride Month, for example. I know so many gay people who that's not their identity, but they want you to believe that's the only thing that identifies them is sexuality. So they pump it into the culture. They pump it at kids. They do all that. And that's what bothers me the most. It's like, that can't be your identity. There's no way to consider. That's like saying the only thing my dad was a soldier who died. That's like saying the only thing that I am is a comic. Like, there's layers to every human being. And we're trying to take this like one thing. It's okay to honor somebody on one day for something brave they did. But there's other things where it's like, look, the fact that I have to eat rainbow potato chips means that I'm not homophobic and I don't want to murder a trans person. Absurd. It's absurd. Like, and
it's beyond absurd.
And
it's a matter of fact, that makes me. I call them reality phobic.
Yes.
You're reality phobic, and you're phobic of the feelings that are deep and real in real humans like myself. And yourself and so many others. And I agree. It's ridiculous. I don't know where this is coming from, but they do need to be pushed back very hard, or at least shown. I'm done. We're done. I'm not putting up with it anymore.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
Well, it's like, do you think like rainbow Doritos are a big hit in Afghanistan? Like, it's not. They don't market to anybody unless they know they're going to buy it. That's all it comes down to. It's nothing more than a campaign to get you to buy stuff. They don't care about you.
Exactly.
That's what I find so insane. It's like, you walk into Target and there's just rainbow stuff. It's like, if it wasn't popular, like in the 80s when people were worried about AIDS, did you see that stuff everywhere?
That's right.
They couldn't sell it to you then. That's the difference.
That is the difference. They couldn't sell it to you. Norm Macdonald.
I love Norm, man. I know you and him were great. Yeah,
he was flat out. He didn't care about the response. He had a thing. I didn't keep it, but it was like, remember the good old days? Today they have parades and rainbows. Remember the good old days when we just, we sodomized one another and try not to get AIDS. And I was like, oh my! It's like all over TikTok right now. Like, oh my God! But it made me think. It made me think like, oh my God, this was connected to AIDS, and now we're like, hey, put something. Yeah, we should push this. Like, are you? And again, why would you define yourself from sex? But to define the human in you, the great soul in you, the inspiration in you. But if it's got to be defined by your sexual behavior, that's just pure madness. And go. I don't know, whatever.
No, Norm's right. And I loved on his last special where he just said, it was such this beautiful farewell, I thought, that, and he had only known that he had. And I'm sorry for your loss. And I just, I love that he goes, I remember I asked my dad, I said, I have he goes, I think I'm a girl. And he said, no, you're not. You have a penis. And I said, oh, right. And he goes, yeah, and he said, I forgot how hateful we were back then. It's just this perfect joke because Norm's brilliant, but he's trying to play the guy who's not. And that's what I always loved about Norm, was he's this genius, but he's saying something so simple.
Yes.
In a way to point out what's going on. And all that stuff is being thrown to us to confuse us, to make people angry, to make people mad at each other. And I feel bad for the people who actually do have to deal with that as an actual mental problem versus the other people who just use it as a trend.
Correct. And again, I think I'll use everyone as victimized. To me, it's like when we grew up and we're watching MTV, you couldn't sell me wearing a dangling cross earring and having a mullet and wearing spandex pants and thinking I was cool as shit at the local fair. But MTV showed me that, and there I was. So I'm not saying like, hey, doing the parades, because I think wherever their information is, it's just as vulnerable. It's just as, except for it's a little, in my opinion, a little more. It's harmful. It's reckless. It doesn't do. It's not doing a creative good thing.
And I was part of it. I was very much into hip hop. I remember I wore the baggiest pants ever, and my dad
hated you.
Oh yeah, my dad saw me. He's just like, "Great, you found a way to look shorter. Congratulations, good work." You know, and it's just
my dad. I snuck in. I got the earring.
Yeah,
and I forgot.
I had 6, and I remember he went pluck pluck pluck, and I had 1 left. He goes, "You can keep that until I decide you can't." But anyway, sorry. I mean, he was so mad. But sorry.
Oh, mine wasn't that intense. He just did it because my mom was behind him and she knew it was coming. So I forgot about it. He was sleeping on the couch, and I went right by on his chair, the Archie Bunker chair, and
yes.
I snuck to my room and I forgot I had it. In the morning, I got up and I had my breakfast, and he's just staring at me like this. And I went, "What's going on?" He goes, "What's in the ear?" And I went, "Oh, Dad, it means you're cool." You went, "Jesus Christ. What are you going to get, a skirt now? We're going to wear skirts now? Are we going to start hopping around like a band?" And my mom's like, "Oh, stop, Jim. It's the new fad, and that's what they do." But I look back, I'm like, here's this guy. He's a World War II vet, a man's man. I'm coming, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "You don't get it, Dad."
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's the exact same response I was.
And it's my kids like, "You don't understand gender, Dad. There's 40 of them." Okay, sure there is. Okay, sure there is.
Yeah. It's so true though, because everything. When you look at your dad too, because you know he's just thinking like, or he's probably said out loud many times, "I went to war for this, so you could do that. That's great. I would have just stayed home."
So I wanted to pick your brain on one last thing.
Of course.
Which I thought, I don't know a lot of guys that do that, but you perform like what, I don't want to label it the wrong way, like rehab shows or shows for people that have been in rehab or something like that. Did you say something like that? Did I hear that a little bit or no?
Yeah, I have actually. One of the first things people told me about it was Bobby Kelly, actually, who you know, because the first time I met him, he got in my car, and he was on the phone with Colin Quinn, who I met later, and he gets in, and I blew into a breathalyzer, and Bobby's just like, "My feature just blew into a breathalyzer," and he hasn't even put out his cigarette. And this is like, this is about 13 years ago, and he had kind of told me, you know, his stories and stuff, and then and not to out him, but he's talked about it openly, and he told me a bit about, you know, like where you can go in that direction. And he's always somebody who I guess I bring up because he was very inspirational to me. And over time, I started doing rehab shows. I started doing them for I don't really do them for much money or anything like that. I just go there because there's people in the audience who are about to get out, which I think is very important to talk to them, because that's the second you're going to relapse. And there's people who just got there and they're still shaking because they're withdrawing from heroin. And there's people that are still there trying to figure it out. And it's heartbreaking because, you know, I always say it, I'm like, some of you are going to make it and some of you are going to be dead. And some of you, you know, because you have to take a moment to be serious and to talk about the program that they're in and how to take the program seriously. But I do. And what I've been lucky enough to do is, and you actually inspired me a lot in this, in your storytelling, to be honest, and that's not just blowing smoke. I really admire storytelling on stage, and I was always kind of afraid to do it. And I ended up doing, This Is Not Happening for Comedy Central, where I talked about going to a juvenile rehab, when I was young. And they let me do 2 stories where I mixed it with 2 things. But I got to talk about where I was put in a mental hospital and I roomed with a wolf boy. And it was after I had bonged a fifth at this kid's house. And I ended up falling through a glass table. And it was I ended up being arrested 13 times. And it was a disaster. And I'm able to talk about this on stage, and I talk to now. I've learned how to do it to a broad audience, to where I'm not shaming anybody or making them feel bad if they drink. That's your choice.
Right.
But oddly, over the years, I've said something where people come up to me and say, "You said this on whatever show." One guy said, "I said just go 11 days," and I've said that a few times. I go, "Just go 11 days, and if your life doesn't feel a little better, then just go 11 more." And not even the 24-hour thing. I go just because it's this goal that I think is just small enough to reach. And maybe it's my own philosophy or whatever. But when somebody comes up to you and says, "You saved my life," that means everything to me, because I don't feel like I've saved mine. I feel like I'm still. Addiction is, it's an addict is, it's a slave. It's what it is. You're a slave to something. And it's a dragon that never goes away. It's there. It's always there. It's always in my ear. It always wants me to let it out. I'm not going to be able to kill it. I know that. But I can ignore it. I can keep it quarantined. I can keep it away from me. And that's how I view my life. And I'm able to talk about it on stage. And honestly, I love it because I can talk about these insane stories from a distance. And I know who I'm talking about. I know that it's me, but it's also this very, very dark part of me that I don't want to keep hidden. I want people to know it's there, because I know that they have to hide their darkness too. And I love doing that on stage.
Well, God bless you, brother, because I got to be honest with you. It's people like you that I absolutely admire and love, because we all come out of the gamut. We all come out of it going, "Hey, I want to be funny and be the best." And then we hit a spot where we go, all that is so phony. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't come from anywhere. And just like you said, and I know your fans do this, just like you said, and my wife taught me a lot about this too. She goes, "Jim, there could be one person. Yeah, you might have slayed tonight. They might have said, 'Oh, I saw this comedian this, but no one makes me laugh,' or Jim Breuer." None of that mattered, Jim. What matters is that one person that heard you and you inspired their life. He goes, that is going to be way more powerful than all of them going, "He's the funniest guy ever." Yes, you're funny, but there could be one person in there tonight that you might just change their world because you're willing to put it out there. And Dave, you're doing that, man. I freaking love you. And I hope people come see you on tour, man. I hope you hang out again.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to, man. Thank you so much.
All right, I suck at plugging, so I'm going to force you to. Dave Landau's, you go to his site.
Yes.
Where can they find you? You watch Crowder and Louder every day with Dave?
Good. Monday through Thursday, Louder with Crowder. Our tour Rebel. This fall, we'll be touring like Nashville, West Virginia, some other places with Rebels with a Cause. But you can check out my solo dates. A lot of funny bones and stuff coming up at davelandau.com. Just go there. You can get tickets. And I got a couple of albums out. And I'm working on a special right now. So hopefully in this special, I really want to be largely, stories. And I'm very picky. Like I filmed one and I'm just really hard on myself. So I think I'm going to be doing it again. So we'll see.
Well, you're not picky. You just know what you want now. That's called you're zoned. You're laser zone. You know what you want.
And I'm glad you said that, because there is something where you go out there and you crush every joke, and you learn how to do these like one-liners, and you're crushing rooms, and you're like, "Oh, I'm burying the headliner," and they say I'm better, and then and then you realize that there's actually something so much bigger than it. And I would listen to you guys, like you and Patrice on O&A, and talking about how like first you learn to kill, but then you learn how to be a comedian, and that is something that it takes years and years and years to learn.
Takes a long time, brother. Man, this is a lot of. I had a really great time with you, and I hope you did too, Dave. I did. I wish you the best, brother. God bless you. Safe journeys. Go crush them.
Appreciate it, my friend.
Crush them.
Thank you,
Dave Landau, everyone. Dave Landau.
Thank you, sir.
You got it. Love his story. This guy, I love comedians like this. They go on these journeys. I would watch him years ago, and I knew there was something in there, and now he's letting his true set. Dude, that was a great conversation. I hope you had a good time today. On a different note, God, I always feel weird with this transition, but we have guests coming next week too. I believe we're going to do a bunker next week, which is also going to be, I believe, very funny, like belly laughing funny. Eddie Bravo, we call each other all the time. He makes me belly laugh on the phone. He's funny. He kills me. He kills me. But today was really. I hope you guys get to check Dave out on the road and see what he's about. Louder with Crowder. Check out Dave, and see what he's all about. And some people will love him, and some people will go, not my thing. But I hope to pass him on the road without a doubt. Really enjoyed Dave Landau. He's out there touring. JimBrewer.com. I have dates. When I'm in Alaska, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I'll talk to Mike about it. That's not until July. I'll be in Anchorage, and then I'm doing something cool and funky. So maybe I can figure out something or how we do it. And then we have a new merch coming and the studio being built in Florida as we speak. I wish you all the best. Thanks for all the happy birthday stuff. Stay positive and know when the circus is trying to draw you in. They're taking your supplies. They're trying to scare you again. They're getting you to fight each other. Stop. Get to know each other. Don't talk politics. Politics is a waste. It's a circus. It's nonsense. But they are definitely going for it right now. They're going for the purge. Take the guns, starve them to death, screw the borders. It's game on, baby. Game on. Be safe. God bless. And to Dave's father, who gave his life and his family's life, and to everybody that's done battle and their family that had to deal with when that person came back from battle, as we celebrate the most ridiculous things in humanity, as we put on pedestals people that are well produced and have billions of dollars backing them so they can steer you in directions and go meet with Ukrainian presidents to sell agendas. Get out of the circus, or at least know you're in one. Go make someone smile today. Go make someone, go inspire someone. All right? Be aware. But remember, we got to lift each other up in the meantime. God bless you, man. Love you. Have a good one. Take care, Mike. Welcome to the Breuniverse, and I hope to see you at the Breuniverse next week.
Take a look around and what do you see? Mark the date down tonight, we'll make it history.
Hey, this is Jim Breuer, and I got my own Patreon page, and hopefully you'll check it out. Live comedy concert streamed once a month. Weekly, you host your own podcast, and you interview me. Early access to the Breuniverse podcast every single week, and I have bonus footage and bonus segments, and you get to access my last comedy special, Somebody Had to Say It. There's a lot there. I promise you I'm not going to let you down. Go check out my official Jim Breuer Patreon page, and I'll see you there.